Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I guess it's closer to evening, but I'd like to thank everybody for joining us for the annual handicapping seminar. Before I let these guys take over, I just wanted to remind you, we will be having a viewing party again tomorrow up in our grand ballroom. Doors open at 9. We do have wagering stations, kiosks. There'll be food and drink specials as well as gift giveaways tomorrow. Also, if you can't be here tomorrow but you want to get your bets in, advanced wagering is available for all races tomorrow. And once again, thank you everyone for coming here. And let me go ahead and turn you over to Ralph Siraco, Jon Lindo, and Jonathan Hardoon. Take it away, Ralph.
Thank you. And by the way, that's Steve Johnson, who happens to be the director of the race book here at the South Point. So he deserves a hand, too. And by the way, his fine staff over there with the supervisors, Sylvia, Dan, and Usa, and Olga. They all do a great job for you guys. All right, well, we're here again for the Breeders' Cup seminar. And, of course, a lot of you probably saw some of the races that happened this afternoon. So before we get started with going over the Breeders' Cup races for tomorrow, I want to ask my compatriots here what they assessed from today's racing. Did you guys, anything that happened that,
Well, there were really no excuses. Everything went pretty smooth. The good news was that the track was basically pretty even. You were able to come from behind. You were able to win on the lead. The last meet that they had at Del Mar, even yesterday, it was very speedy. The inside was the place to be. But it seems that they evened out the track and you could win from anywhere, and that's good.
And John, you were just telling us, you told us on the program this morning about how the tractors were out there last night at 10 o'clock at night working on the main track, so I guess it worked.
They did a good job, didn't they?
Yeah,
they
sure
got
did.
it right. A couple of things. One thing that happened today didn't happen in the Breeders' Cup last year. A horse based in Southern California won. Bob Baffert won the juvenile today.
And what else is new?
And he ran one, too.
And the more things changed, the more things stayed the same. The Euros dominated the turf. Bob Baffert won a 2-year-old race, and Brad Cox is a nice filly. So what else is new?
And the Japanese horses were 0 for today. But the good
So
ones
far.
are right.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's today.
That's what we said today.
Yeah. Tomorrow might be a different story. Of course, all of you know that today was labeled the Stars of the Future because they were all races for 2-year-olds at different distances and surfaces. And I'm sure that Baffert's horse is now the favorite for the Kentucky Derby next year, of which he can actually go and run the horse in this year.
Well, he's got an army, so we'll see
Yeah.
which one ends up going. But he'll have a bunch of them. And, he almost ran 1, 2, 3. He ran first and second, got voted out of third.
Want to welcome all of the folks not only here live in the lounge here, but also all of the folks watching us around the world on the simulcasting that's being held at YouTube and on the South Point website too, right?
It's everywhere, yeah.
Everywhere.
Got it on my website.
On your
our
website?
radio. Yep.
It's everywhere. So
No excuses.
we're happy to have all of you watching and listening. Okay, time to get started, man. We got to make some money. So here's the deal. Opening the first post time tomorrow at Del Mar is 10:05 a.m. Pacific time. And there will be 3 races before the start of the actual Breeders' Cup races. The first Breeders' Cup race will start at 12 high noon Pacific time. It is the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Turf Sprint at obviously a sprint distance of 7 furlongs on the main track. There are 10 in the race. We've had some late scratches over the course of the time that they entered the races, and actually will run tomorrow. And as we go through them, we'll tell you who the scratches are. To my knowledge, we did not get any scratches in this race.
We've got one. We've got number 5, Pandora's Gift.
Okay.
Is a late scratch from the 4th race tomorrow, the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint.
Okay, so we take out the 5 Pandora's Gift. 30-1 on the morning line. It was kind of a long shot in the race anyhow. And so Pandora's Gift is out. So, gentlemen, I will start with the man on my right, which is Jon Lindo. John, how do you see this opener?
It's an interesting race in that a lot of these fillies are tactical, but there really isn't a ton of I have to be on the lead kind of fillies. And number 6 Society, I think, is going to make the lead. And here comes off a big win in the Ballerina at Saratoga. She's the one to beat, but there's a horse that finished behind her that day that I'm going to come back and take a shot with, and that's number 4, Vava. This is a filly that's never trained well up at Saratoga. I thought they gave her a race getting ready for the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. She likes 7 furlongs. I think she's going to like this Del Mar main track. When I saw her there at the track earlier this week, she looked really healthy and doing well. Rad Ortiz stays with her. I think you're going to get all the 4 to 1 in here, and she'll be in a stalking position. She'll never be too far from the lead. So Vava for me to turn the tables in this race. I think Society, again, the one to catch and the one to beat. You have the favorite, number 9, Ways and Means, drawn in post 9 for Chad Brown. She'll be on top of the pace also. I don't know how tough the races were that she comes out of. I don't think she was beating the best fillies and mares. She's a 3-year-old facing older horses. So this is, to me, is a tougher race for her today, or Saturday. She's 5 to 2 in the program. I don't think there's a lot of value there. So number 4, Vava for me.
I like this race. I like a price horse in here. I like the number 2 horse, One Magic Filly. Antonio Frisu for Phil D'Amato. This horse 2 for 2 at Del Mar, so we know she likes the track. She's breaking from the inside. She's stretching out to 7 furlongs today. And what the best news is that she's 10 to 1. You know, at the price, she may have to improve a little bit, but at 10 to 1, I think she's the right horse in here. I would use her in exactas with the 4, Vaha, the 6, Society, and I would use the 10, Skilla. Underneath. 2 over the 4, 6, and 10. I would try to beat Ways and Means at a short price, even though she did win her last 3, but I think she's vulnerable in this spot. The 2 at 10 to 1, in my opinion, is the right horse to be playing.
Did you notice today, and we were talking about this earlier, that in some of the races, every time we were looking for a horse that had some price to it, it was like lower than the morning line. There were a lot of, it was like almost there was a lot of even betting going on.
Yeah, you were looking for value at all times, and I thought there were some horses that were just kind of a little bit underlaid, and it was kind of evenly spread out where they were equally underlaid, and so it was hard to find something that jumped out and said, wow, that's too big a number. You usually find something like that in races like this. I thought it was a little bit, it was hard to find those today. What did you think?
Absolutely, but the real problem was, and Jeff Siegel, believe me, who had an impossible job having to put up the morning line before knowing post position draw. That's just like totally unfair. I mean, they put him in an impossible position. And, so maybe some of these morning lines would be shorter than they were if he knew post positions, but who knows?
All right, we move on then to the next race, and that will be the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. 5 furlongs on the turf. There was an overflow field in this one. Do we have any defections here, John?
As far as I know, let me take a look again. No. I don't think they've taken the also eligibles out yet. I still have them all in the race, so there's no scratches yet.
Okay, but they would be, they're long shots anyhow at 30 to 1, but they're still in the race as we speak. Things could happen overnight to any horse, but the big horse, the big horse, the big favorite in that race at 7 to 5 on the morning line is Cogburn. Irad Ortiz Jr. rides. He'll break from the middle of this 15-horse field, or certainly from the 9 post, which usually would be an outside post, but with this group. And Cogburn, I guess, looks like the horse to beat, Jonathan.
Yeah, but he's up against it because if you check the stats, Kentucky down horses that ship in are like 0 for 34 coming into the Breeders' Cup. And I think they're even worse than that shipping to Southern California. They're like close to 0 for 100. So, yeah, Cogburn is the horse to beat. Certainly off the figures, he's won 3 in a row. But there's a price horse in here. And again, I'm ending up with Phil D'Amato and Antonio Frisu from the inside with Motorius. Horses 3 for 3 at Del Mar, 3 for 7 at the distance. And again, he's 8 to 1. I look for value, and that's the horse that I'd be king. In exactas, I would use the 3 Arzak, the 7 Howard Wolowitz, and the 9 Cogburn. 2 with the 3, 7, and 9.
All right, John?
John, before I get into what I like, with the Ragozin sheets, you have these horses coming from Europe, like Big Evs and Bradsell. Do you guys have a Ragozin sheet number on these horses?
Yeah, we even made Japanese numbers this year for
Did
the
you
first
really?
time. Yeah, they tried it for the first time. Let's see how it works out.
Okay, I didn't know if you did those or not. That's interesting.
Yeah.
A couple of notes in here. Number 1, Believing, 2 days ago, absolutely refused to train.
Yeah.
They took her out on the main track, and she would not go anywhere. They got her going yesterday morning and today, but that kind of thing. They put the blinkers on her. I think this filly has a mind of her own, so be careful with her. As far as the horses I like, if you've seen Cogburn run this year, yeah, he comes out of Kentucky Downs, but he dominated at Churchill Downs. He dominated at Saratoga. I don't think he's a one-trick pony. I think he handles anything, and he has just been as fast as anything I've seen sprinting on turf. He's the horse to beat to me. I'm going to try and catch a little bit of an exacta with number 6, Star of Mystery. This is a 3-year-old filly from the Charles Appleby barn. On the radio show, Ralph, we talked about Bob Baffert having 18 wins, and D. Wayne Lucas, the all-time leading trainer, with 20. And I think Aidan O'Brien moved up today with a couple of wins. He might have 20 now. Charlie Appleby's only had 20 starters going into today. He's had 10 winners out of 20 in the Breeders' Cup. So that's pretty good work in very tough conditions.
Yep.
She had a miserable trip last time at Keeneland. She wasn't that far behind Cogburn in her U.S. debut at Saratoga. And with all the speed in this race, she's going to be flying late. I like a 9-6 exacta in here quite a bit. And I'm also going to throw in number 2, Motorius, who's 3 for 3 at Del Mar. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's good enough, but he's got a home field advantage, and he gets the right pace scenario. If he can work out a trip from the inside, that's usually a good place to be.
And Del Mar has always been one of those horse for courses routes.
Absolutely, and he absolutely loves it. He loves the 5 furlongs. He loves the turf there. Yeah. Phil D'Amato on the grass.
Some things never change. All right, I do have to give you this. I got to give you this stat, though. You ready?
Go ahead.
In the past 10 editions of the Breeders' Cup, horses who have made their last starts at Kentucky Downs are 0 for 32. Of them, 0 for 17 at California tracks. And here's the real kicker. Any start there in the same year are 0 for 101 since 2014.
Told you.
So, but that's okay because it's the do factor.
They're due, yes.
Yeah, but due at 2 to 5, there's got to be better options than that.
I don't think he'll be 2 to 5.
3
He
to
will
5?
be. He'll be the favorite, though. Okay. Anyhow, we move on. The 6th race at this post time. By the way, the post time for the sprint is 12:41. Post time for the 6th race will be 1:21 p.m. Breeders' Cup Distaff, a mile and 1/8 fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. And boy, this was going to be a race. I think for the ages. And then they scratched Idiomatic, and now it's a race to try to beat Torpedo Anna.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ralph. I mean, this was a race that people were looking forward to, whether you wanted to bet it or not. It was going to be the throwdown between 2 really terrific horses. But Idiomatic was forced to retire when she got hurt, and now you're stuck with Torpedo Anna. Will she be 1 to 9, 1 to 5?
She'll be big time.
She'll be less than even money.
Yeah, that's
she's 4 to
sure.
5 on the program.
So you got to try to turn a 2 to 5 shot maybe into a 7 to 1 shot, and I would use Candid underneath for my exacta. 2-1 exacta in today's 6th race, the Breeders' Cup Distaff.
Now, a lot of people that I've been talking to said they think they have a chance to beat Torpedo Anna. So we'll wait and see about that. But that's going to be one of the probably could be the lowest priced morning horse of the entire Breeders' Cup. But John, there are a couple of scratches in that race.
Right. Yeah, there are 2 late scratches out of the Distaff tomorrow. In race number 6, scratch number 3, Baducata, and also scratch number 8, Miss New York. So they won't go. Leaves us a field of 8.
Well, that's okay. Anything from New York should be scratched.
The thing to me about this race, Ralph, is where's the pace? Who's going to run with Torpedo Anna? It doesn't look like any of the other fillies has that type of speed. And if you give Torpedo Anna the lead, she is a bear to pass. It's not listed in the notes on her trouble notes last time at Parks in the Cotillion, but she got bounced off the rail down the backstretch.
Yes,
It was a rough trip. She won by a neck. Yeah, it wasn't her best race, but Brian Hernandez won by a measured neck. He was just watching to make sure he had the race won, and he tried to save as much as he possibly could. I think she's coming into the race fine. I don't think they had her cranked up last time. It was kind of a prep for the Distaff. Right. So I think she's going to fire. She's going to be tough to beat. The one horse we don't know enough about is the Japanese horse, number 9, Awesome Result. She's 7 for 7 in Japan. she's shortening up to a mile and 1/8. She just wanted a mile and a quarter out there in Japan. I saw her in the morning. She's a long, lanky thing. She looks like a greyhound. She's got a big, long stride on her, and when she gallops, if she handles the main track here, and I don't know if she will or not, she's the one horse I don't know enough about. Maybe she's this good. I don't know. I think Torpedo Anna will beat the rest of them. Austin Result is the X factor. If I'm going to add a horse in to protect, I would use that. Raging Sea, number 6, loves a mile and 1/8. But, you know, the time she beat Idiomatic 2 back, she got an absolute pace setup where they went fast and stopped late. She's not going to get that kind of scenario tomorrow, so I think she's up against it here.
But she does have Flavian Pratt.
That helps a little bit, that last 1/8 of a
you
mile.
bet it does.
Yeah.
The problem is that exact is going to literally be $4.
Right.
You know, so.
Well, and that's why they have, you're looking for some singletons
Horizontal.
in the race over race bets, the pick 5s and pick 4s, because, like it happened today, there was a couple of really dead
That
favorites
one horse, that
won.
Aiden O'Brien horse, she was something else.
Exactly. But look at what the pick 5 wound up paying, because then you can go deep in the other
Right.
races. So that's a consideration there. So we can't make chicken soup out of chicken feathers maybe in this race, but we can get through it and get to another race, which will be the 7th race. And that is the Breeders' Cup Turf at 1.5 miles on the turf. Turf course looks beautiful and in great shape right now. Post time is just a minute after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2:01. 13 are entered. John, any scratches?
As far as this race, I have no scratches as of now, and there's no also eligible, so if they all want to go, all 13 can run.
All right. What do you say? How do you see this?
Well, the morning line favorite is Rebels Romance. He's number 11 on the program.
Yep.
And you don't see this very often. This year alone, he's won in Qatar, Dubai, Hong Kong, and Germany. So I'm going to guess he's a pretty good shipper. I think he's done this before. He won the Breeders' Cup Turf in Keeneland in 2022. He is absolutely the one to beat for Charlie Appleby and William Buick. Obviously, he doesn't have to take his track with him. He's pretty consistent wherever he goes. He draws a tough post, number 11, going 1.5 miles. They'll have to work out a trip, but you have a top jockey to do that. If you're looking for an upsetter, the horse I picked on top, I like the Japanese horse in here. I think it's pronounced Sharwar. If not, number 3 is going to work for me. But Sharwar has not won this year. He ran really well in this race at Santa Anita last year, got beat 1.5 lengths, and he had a little trouble in the race. He was flying at the wire that day behind Auguste Rodin and up to the mark. I don't know if this field is as good as that field was last year. He's a fresh horse. He's been bucking and kicking and squealing in the morning. I think he's going to like the firm turf here. And this may be the Japanese horse that gets them off the schneid at this Breeders' Cup. You remember the Japanese have won 2 races at Del Mar in the past, so they have a pretty good idea of what kind of horses to bring to these courses here. He's 10-1 on the program. He's the value for me. Rebels Romance, the one to beat. And maybe the up-and-coming horse, Ralph, number 5, JRB. This is a 3-year-old facing older horses. He beat older horses in France on a soft turf in the Prix-Dollar. But he's just getting better right now. I don't know how good he is in a field that, besides these top 2, are a little bit modest. I think maybe it's the horse that has the most chance to move forward.
And it's a turf race in the Europeans.
Yeah, listen, I just have too much respect for Rebels Romance. I just think he's the real deal. He's 9'12" at the distance. It's Appleby, it's Buick. I just think they're going to be very tough. I would shop for prices underneath to try to make some value out of it. For sure, I would use the 3 Shahar. I would use the 4 Luxembourg, and probably the 5 Jabri. 11 over 3, 4, 5.
Nobody talked about Far Bridge.
He got a good post because he's a horse that needs to be on the inside of horses. He will not loop horses and go and run on. He needs to be covered up European style and kind of sneak through. Mm-hmm. So drawn post 6, he can just drop to the rail. I just don't think the U.S. turf horses are that good. I think they've been a mediocre group all year. He's the best of the Americans. Does it mean he's going to win the Breeders' Cup Turf? I don't think so.
All right, and then we move to the main event.
Oh.
So we can talk about this and go home then, right? No, because there's 4 races after the main event because of TV limitations. And so the Big race of the day, the $7 million Breeders' Cup Classic at 1.25 miles for 3-year-olds and up is the 8th race, and it goes at 2:41 in the afternoon. Pacific time. 15 have been entered. We'll get the latest if there's any scratches there, John.
Right now, no scratches. Field of 14 rattle and rolls on the also eligibles trying to get in, but no defections so far.
All right. Well, we got an interesting mix of horses here. We got City of Troy, a horse who has got a lot of publicity and a lot of talk from Europe that his trainer believes that he's the best horse he's ever trained, and you know who he is. He's a guy that doesn't compliment horses that much and say he's the best of all the ones that he had, since we know he won 2 races today. But in any case, that's what he said. City of Troy has never raced on the main track, however.
You got to be really a little silly to be even thinking of betting City of Troy at 5-2. The horse has never been on the dirt. I mean, I get it. He's a terrific horse, and obviously he could win. But if he wins, I'm not collecting, I'll tell you that much. I think it's really Fierceness has finally turned the corner. He's finally put 2 races together. I watched him train up at Saratoga. He's a completely different horse. Pletcher did the right thing by him. He gave him time off. I can't imagine City of Troy being the favorite over him, but hopefully it is, because I'll be betting Fierceness number 9. But I'm going to use the 1 Forever Young underneath. I'm going to use the 11 Sierra Leone, who I swore I would divorce after the last race and never bet again.
I hold grudges, by the way. So.
And never bet again, because I've just been chasing this horse since the Derby. So I'm going to turn that divorce into a separation, I guess. And I'm going to give him one more shot. The price is too good to pass up, and I'm going to hope that maybe he just didn't care for Saratoga, because all 3 of those races that he ran bad were at Saratoga. So we're back in love a little bit, and I would use number 14 next. A little respect for a horse that's won his last bunch of races by 100 lengths.
All right, all I can say is this. We know this is the political season, and he's talking like the politicians right now, because we can run this tape later,
Right.
when City of Troy wins the race or not. But in any case, enough said.
Enough said. 9 over the 1, 11, and 14.
But you're right about Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
Time for the funeral.
That's it. That's it.
Go ahead, John.
This is a spread race for me. I like number 1, Forever Young, the Japanese horse. Watching him this week, I've never seen this. One morning he came out with 4 wraps, a hood, and all this equipment. The next day he came out with 4 wraps, no hood. The next day he came out with the hood, no wraps. And then the 4th day he just came out with front wraps. So I don't know
it was the same horse?
I don't know if the groom had a rough night every night or what the story was, but obviously nothing bothers this horse because he wasn't wearing the same stuff all the time. After the draw on Monday, they worked him Tuesday morning. He drew the rail. So what did they do? They put him in a team drill, and they put him behind one of their stablemates. They dropped him to the inside around the turn, and when the jock just niggled at him, he just exploded right through and ran like a house on fire. He's doing great. I mean, this horse has got a really good mind. He wants to win. You watch this horse, he'll do whatever you want, but when you say go, he'll go. He was very unlucky not to win the Kentucky Derby. Sierra Leone mugged him all the way down the lane. How there was no disqualification of Sierra Leone.
Was there a foul even? No.
No, there was a mugging. What, are you kidding?
I'm saying, but no one even claims.
But nobody claims
Right.
foul. No,
Why
no,
do you have to claim? Why do you have to claim a foul? Don't you have 3 stewards up there? Are they Manny, Mo, and Joe, or
But
what?
at least drop the flag.
I think they turn off the objection button in the Derby. But anyways, he had a rotten trip. He had a terrific prep race in Japan. In a wide open race, I think 6-1's a fair price. I thought the horse that won the post position draw was number 14 next. This is a horse that, like you guys said, he's won 7 straight by a total of 91 lengths, and he's been beating up on a bunch of crows, to be honest with you, but he's been doing it nice. He finishes well every time. And he's drawn outside number 12, Arthur's Ride, who's going to be the speed of this race. And if he gets loose in front, he's got a chance. I think Nick's falls into a good stalking trip, 2nd or 3rd on the outside. He finishes every race. He wants to win. He's 8-1, and I think he's got a legit chance in here. Arthur's Ride I'm going to use because if he makes the lead, that's a dangerous thing going 1.25 miles at Del Mar.
Yep.
Fierceness and Sierra Leone are the other horses. But like I say, I hold grudges, and I don't like either one of those just for personal reasons. They owe me money, so we'll leave those alone. But for me, the Japanese horse, Forever Young, and a really interesting Breeders' Cup Classic.
What about the other Japanese horse, Yoshiba Tesoro?
Ushba Tesoro's been a real handful. He dropped the rider one morning out there and was spinning around. The horse that's worked well is Dermasoda Gaki, their other Japanese horse, who comes off a bad prep race. They put blinkers on, but he really worked well at Del Mar, blowing out for this race. I just look. The other thing about the Japanese horses, number one, Forever Young is trained by Yoshito Yahigi, and he's the guy that won 2 of these races at Del Mar back in 2021. He calls himself the master of Del Mar. We'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah, I remember that Derby. Forever Young, I mean, he's a tough horse.
He's honest.
He's a tough horse. Any rebuttal?
No.
No? No rebuttal.
I rest.
He rests his case. So everybody out there, just go ahead and play the exacta box, City of Troy to Sierra Leone.
There you go.
There'll be plenty of room to cash because we will be there.
Yeah. And we'll put you on suicide watch. In any case, 9th race, which is after the big event, which is also a Breeders' Cup race, so it's okay. It's a big event. The post time is 3:25 for that, and again, the Breeders' Cup Classic, the big one, 2:41. 3:25 is the race after that. It is the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Turf at 1 3/8 miles on the grass. We do have a scratch in here. John will get to that in just a minute. In the race, Warlike Goddess is the 5-2 favorite with Junior Alvarado for Bill Mott, and it's almost like an eclectic field.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think you want to play against Warlike Goddess. She's now 7 years old. I think she's lost a step, and I just don't think she's the same horse she used to be. That being said, again, Charles Appleby, he's loaded in this race, but I like the 3-horse in here, Cinderella's Dream. She's a 3-year-old. She's facing older horses. Buick is riding. If you get 4-1, I think that's more than a fair price. I like Cinderella's Dream. I would use exactas with the 8. Hang the Moon, the 9, and a set. All she does, by the way, is win. No matter what her figures.
Over those Southern California turf courses.
Yeah,
by the
okay,
way.
but what could she do? That's what they're sending up against her. I mean,
that's right.
But she just knows how to win. She's a win machine. She's 3 for 4 at Del Mar, and she's 15-1.
Yeah.
And the final horse I would use would be the 10 Mariah. 3 with 8, 9, and 10.
All right, now, John, I know we have a scratch in that race.
Yeah, the scratch number 6, Yalang is out, so that leaves us a field right now of 12. Before I go into, John, your connections are involved with Full Count Felicia, and there's a reason she's been running up at Woodbine, correct?
Yeah, she's a bleeder, and you're allowed to run on Lasix at Woodbine.
In the stakes races.
Right, in stake races, and there will be no Lasix Saturday, so that would be somewhat of a concern to me.
Yeah, and she's been running off in the mornings, too. She's going to open a huge lead on this field, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's going to be a zip code between her and the next horse.
Yeah, at 1 3/8 at Del Mar, that first of 3 turns comes up really quick. So horses drawn outside, I think, take the worst of it in here. And I'm on the same horse as John Hardoon. I like number 3, Cinderella's Dream. Since coming to the United States, she's 2 for 2. She won the Grade 1 Belmont Oaks, won the Saratoga Oaks Invitational. She faces older horses for the first time, but she's got some tactical speed. She's drawn inside. I think William Buick is going to just ride her European style. Get to the fence, get her covered up, put her to sleep for the first mile, and then find a place to run. And she's 6 out of 7 lifetimes, so she knows where the wire is. I agree with John also that I think Warlike Goddess is not quite as good as she was when she just missed in this race at Del Mar back in 2021. That was 3 years ago. It's amazing she's still out competing at this level, but I don't know if there's any improvement in her at this point. For me, the exacta horse is number 10, Moira. This is the filly that won the Queen's Plate against the boys up at Woodbine.
Canadian Horse of the Year a couple of years
ago.
And
she just fires every time. So she won in 1 1/4 against the boys. I don't think 1 3/8 miles on the turf is going to be any big deal. She's been running well. And again, she's got a little bit of tactical speed. She's got Flavien Prat to work out a trip from post number 10. Those are the two for me. And in general, this field for the Breeders' Cup filly and mare turf, it's weak. This is not a strong field.
Very light.
And Flavien Prat, first time he's riding her too, right?
Yeah, that tends to help.
Yeah.
You think that they gave him a good story to get on this horse?
It's a Breeders' Cup. You don't need
They
stories.
said there's a bunch of millions of dollars on the line. You want to ride? And he said, sure.
Yeah, sure. Okay, the 10th race is the Breeders' Cup Sprint at 6 furlongs for 3-year-olds and up. 4:05 p.m. Pacific time is the post time. 11 go in this race, and Federal Judge is the lukewarm 3-1 favorite there with Irad Ortiz Jr. John?
This race has pace meltdown written all over it. You've got on the, from the inside out, number 3, Federal Judge, who rode a big speed bias to a wire-to-wire win in the Grade 2 Phoenix at Keeneland. You've got Straight No Chaser from California, who went wire-to-wire in the Santa Anita Sprint Championship. He's only got one way to go. You've got on the far outside Skelly from Churchill Downs. He absolutely has to be on the lead to do his best. And even number 10, Mulligan, who's probably the most rateable of the speed horses, but he's going to be right on top of it. There's no way this race isn't run at a really fast clip. And I just think the way it sets up, I think Mulligan is probably the best option to sit just behind the speed from the outside and get the jump on the closers. He's on a winning streak. He's won, 4 in a row. He looked good winning the Forego last time. I don't think cutting back to 6 furlongs is going to make a big difference for him. So Mulligan, kind of a tepid choice for me. A horse I'm absolutely going to use in all the exotics. And that's Nakatomi, number 4. He was hurt by the speed bias at Keeneland last time. He ran 3rd in the Breeders' Cup Sprint last year at Santa Anita. He needs some pace to set him up. He's definitely going to get it. He doesn't win a lot, but the way this race shapes up with Tyler Gaffalione, I think he's coming running. If he doesn't win it, he's going to get a piece of this. So I'm going to play him, throughout the top 3 spots in all the exotics. And those are the 2 horses I really like, Ralph. I mean, Straight No Chaser, I think, is probably the best of the speed horses. And even the Japanese horse Remake, he has run well in Dubai from just off the pace. That's what I'm looking for to win the sprint.
Yeah, just something right behind a stack of front runners.
Right.
You mentioned 9 horses and didn't mention the horse I like. Am I in trouble here?
No, I know the horse you like, and the times are real fast today at Del Mar.
Okay.
They got that thing souped up, so
Yeah,
it's going to be a fast race.
I like the one in here, Raging Torrent. The horse is 2 for 4, and everything John said is right. There's going to be a meltdown, but the one's going to be right behind him on the rail. And I think, Antonio Frasu, here I go again. I now gave him 3 winners tomorrow. He's going to have a big day.
You ought to be his agent. Yeah.
He's 10-1. I mean, at 10-1, I got to play this horse. Off the figures, he's as good as anyone else or better in the race. And again, I think he's going to work out a great trip breaking from the inside. He has speed, but not enough speed to get involved with those guys that you were talking about.
Right.
The 10 is certainly the horse to beat Mulligan, but I'm going with the 1, Raging Torrent. There's an interesting 30-1 shot in here. Benetanato, whatever, the 6 horse, I don't know how to pronounce his name. But at 30-1, you should use him somewhere on the bottom. I think he has a shot. And I was using 1 over 6, 8, and 10.
I have a question for you now. I like Raging Torrent. He's been a really good horse around 1 turn, but it's been 7 furlongs and a mile. Is 6 furlongs from the rail? That's why I didn't put him in the top 2. I was planning on it, and then I saw the draw and where he's at and where the race came up.
Listen, he's 10-1. Nothing's going to be perfect, but at least he could have gotten some mention from you.
You're right.
You mentioned 7 horses.
You're right.
Okay.
Children. All right. But if the pace is real fast, they're going to come back to running Torrent a little bit sooner maybe than they would at 7
He's going to
furlongs.
think it's 7 furlongs when he kicks in. That's all.
Okay, I'll use him. You talked me into it. I'm in.
Put him in
I'm
your
in.
exotic. You got it? Put him in there. All right. Now, the 11th race is the Breeders' Cup Mile, at a mile on the turf. 4:45 p.m. Pacific time is the post time, estimated post time. And there have been an original field of 12, but there is a scratch in this race, John.
There are 2 late scratches that came out today. Out of the mile tomorrow, number 1, Matuel, was scratched by those track vets. And number 4, Diego Velasquez for Aidan O'Brien. He took that horse out today. I didn't get a reason why. But number 1 and number 4 are scratched. We got a field of 10.
Heisa walked by.
Okay, and I know that you have you want to say something about your friends at Heisa?
No, that's why they scratched. They walked by and said, we didn't do anything in the last 24 hours.
Yeah.
Let's get to work.
Pick him. Okay, you're out. Anyhow, in this race, the lukewarm morning line favorite is a notable speech at 7-2, and that is lukewarm. I mean, really, John?
It's an interesting race. You look at it, there's speed in the race. Goliad has one way to go. He's going to go as fast as he can, as far as he can. Carl Spackler got the worst of the post draw. He drew number 12. But we saw the last race today, John. The post 13 won the mile race today. So you can win from the outside post. But from there, I think Carl Spackler probably has to go. I think the race sets up for a horse who can sit and wait a little bit. And I really like number 6, Notable Speech. This is one of my best plays on the card tomorrow. This is a horse that won the Grade 1 Sussex. And his trainer, Charlie Appleby, who we know how well he does at Del Mar and the Breeders' Cup in general, he said this is the best horse he's ever shipped over to the U.S. So you better listen.
Wow.
Yeah, when he says something like that, and I've seen what the others can do, if this one's better than those, they're in trouble. He trained really well over the Del Mar turf this week. You can throw out the last race. It was on a soft turf that he just did not handle. I think you see his best race tomorrow, and if he runs his best race, it's good enough to win. He's the horse for me. I'm rooting for number 9, Johannes, one of my favorite horses on the track in Southern California. He's 4 for 4 this year. He's only lost 1 race on the grass in his career when he was wiped out at Churchill Downs last year. I think Tim Yachtine and his crew have done a terrific job with this horse, and he's versatile. He's got tactical speed if you need it. He can sit back and make a run if you need it. He's won over Del Mar, so he's got a lot of things in his favor. We'll find out how good he is tomorrow because the grass horses in California are not like a horse like Notable Speech. There are a lot of other options here, including Porta Fortuna and Carl Spackler. The one horse that's going to be a big number in here that has trained well is number 3, Geoglaff. You look at his past performances, and it doesn't look like much over in Japan, but he really worked well over there at Del Mar on the turf course. He's a big, robust chestnut. He's as healthy as you can be. And I wouldn't be surprised if this horse got up for 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. I'll use him in the bottom of the exotics at a big number. He would definitely boost the payoff.
The horse will never be 30-1. I swear, I got 5 calls about this horse. You got to see this horse. You got to see this horse.
He was really impressive.
Yeah, and I looked, and I see 30-1, and it's a Japanese horse, so I don't know. I mean, originally I ended up on Johannes till I just heard what John said that Charles Appleby said about the 6, Noble Speech. So I don't know what to do. Johannes, listen, 4 for 4 at the distance, 1 for 1 at Del Mar. I kind of liked him until I sat at this table, and John kind of ruined it.
Don't let me talk out of who you like, and I know you better. You're not going to change your mind.
If you think you're confused, I've been listening like they have.
Now you really...
We're really confused. But go ahead.
No, so I have no real strong opinion. Listen, Charles Appleby, if he won, would anyone be shocked? No. And there's 75 million people that'll be betting the 3 because of all the tips going around on him. So you could get 30-1. Maybe Johannes will drift up. You know.
Could.
Yeah, he can go off 7-8-1. Well, then I'm willing to take a shot.
Now, I'll tell you one thing. One horse in this race that is very versatile, and that's Carl Spackler.
Yeah, listen, that's
Here's a horse that
serious
can go for the lead. Here's a horse, and his last race, he came from the clouds and got up and won.
And Chad Brown loves this horse as a horse. I know that for a fact. So,
I don't think he's ever been better either. I think he's really at the top of his game.
He's coming into this game, into this race, exactly how you want him to come in.
Yep,
so.
and from the 12 post, I think what Gaffloin's going to do.
Well, it's a 10 post with the 2 late scratches.
All right, well,
but that's okay.
from the outside post. What I believe Gaffleon's going to do, he's going to take about 3 or 4 strides, and if nobody really goes for the lead, he'll go there.
Yeah.
And if not, he's going to tuck and then just make a run.
I think it's owned by his father-in-law also. Is that right, Tyler Gaffleon's? I think so. I don't know. That's just a side note.
No pressure, right?
No pressure.
Yeah. Well, it'd be more pressure if it was owned by his mistress, son. Anyhow. We'll move on to the 12th and final race, which is the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile at a mile. 5:25 is predicted post time for that. Field of 14 is scheduled to go in this race. Got to tell you, the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile has been a really fun, interesting race since its inception. And if you had to make one race, the last race in the card, this is the one that they should, outside of the Breeders' Cup Classic. I think they were right here. All right, Jonathan, we'll let you go first. And by the way, hold on. Any scratches?
Right now, the thing about this race, Ralph, at Del Mar going a flat mile, the maximum horses in a race is 12. Tomorrow, the Breeders' Cup, the Dirt Mile, all 14 can go. There's no also eligible, so they can all run. No scratches yet. So beware of post 13 and 14. That's not where you want to be going a flat, two-turn mile at Del Mar.
And one of the competitors, before the draw, Skippy Longstockings, drew post 14. We know how he runs. He's going to try to make the lead, I would think. And if he does, he might be buying a hot dog at the hot dog stand.
Exactly. I think the one has a big advantage breaking from the rail here, Saudi Crown, because he's going to go to the lead. He's going to be forwardly placed, and going into that first turn, he's liable to be, in front. You're right. There is speed outside, but I think he gets a big advantage breaking from the inside. I don't believe we'll get anywhere near the 5-1 that he's listed at, but I think he's the right way to go. Horses that I would use underneath would be the 9, I guess, Domestic Product, who I'm really not a fan of, to be honest with you. And at 7-2, I guess I have him on the edge.
And that's the morning line favorite, 7-2.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I don't know. I like the 1. If I get 5-1, I could single this horse, to be honest with you. An interesting horse at a price would be the 12, Mufasa. This trainer does a terrific job, Ignacio Correas, and wherever he runs, his horses always run well. The horse is also 4 for 4 at the distance, so I'll be using that horse in the mix somewhere as well. And also number 11 at a big price. So I'm going to use the 1. I'm throwing out Domestic Product. I'm using 1 with 11 and 12.
All right, now, you were looking for some a nice priced horse to go with it, and I think he's got it.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah. Go.
I've listened the whole night. Why am I going to stop now?
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Before we get to that, John, how do you make number 10 Muth the 5-2 favorite in this race? Or is he 9? Is he 9-2 or 5?
9-2.
Okay.
9-2.
I looked at it and I wrote 5-2 on there. I thought that can't be right.
Well, not only that, it's the Baffert factor.
Yeah, but 9-2 isn't right either.
No, he ran terrible last time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Baffert factor.
for me, you look at this race and yeah, there's a ton of speed, but I want to go with the speed of the speed in here, and I think that's number 3, Full Serrano. In his U.S. debut at Del Mar this summer, he went the first quarter in 21-2. This is going a flat mile. The half in 44-4. I don't think anybody else is going to be able to outrun that going for the first half mile. He hung around to win that day. He almost won the Pacific Classic. He just got a little bit tired going a mile and a quarter. That ought to set him up cutting back to the mile. He's trained fantastic coming into this race. I don't necessarily like the rider switch to Joel Rosario. I would rather have a guy that would just put on this horse, say, make the lead, because Joel's not known as a send guy. If he just sits there, I'll be yelling bad words at him all the way through the first half mile. I want this horse on the front end. I don't care how fast you have to go. And then just see if you can hang on late. At 15-1, put my horse on the lead, and if you lose, I'll take the heat. But Full Serrano for me in this race, I think Saudi Crown will be chasing him from the inside. If Full Serrano gets tighter, he's going to get first run. I think one of those 2 horses might carry to the wire. Horses like Domestic Product, I really think he's better around 1 turn. He's won around 2, but I think he's better around 1 turn. I won't talk you out of anybody you like in this race because it's wide open, so that's why I need a price, and I'm on Full Serrano.
And
right.
it is a speed favoring track.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. I want to mention a few other things. There are going to be horse-for-horse matches available tomorrow. The matches are this. They're going to put the prices up tomorrow morning after they make sure that these horses are in the races and anything that might... anything that... Right, exactly. So the matchups are going to be City of Troy against Fierceness, Sierra Leone against Next, Saudi Crown against Domestic Product, and Full Serrano against Mufasa. Now, those will be the matchups in case you want to play the matchups, and they'll be available, of course, in the book. Again, the book should be open by 9 o'clock, by 8 o'clock, I should say. The book will be open by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. The ballroom's going to open up. The doors will be open in the ballroom at 9 a.m. And again, they've got big banquet tables up there so you can bring friends and really spread out. You'll have food and beverage specials. And of course, the betting windows will be there. The kiosks will be there. Big movie theater type screens so you'll be able to see the race. The Breeders' Cup race is fine. And also, you'll get Jon Lindo's Lindo Report that's available down here will also be upstairs, free of charge, as always here at the South Point. Other than that, I think... No, wait, no, what do you mean that's it?
That was the last race.
Yeah, I know, that was the last race. You're not going anywhere.
I'm not moving anywhere.
People might have some questions for you.
I'll sit here all night.
Okay. Any questions? All right, so your question in
Well, let's
case
repeat
anybody...
the question for
Yeah.
those who are watching on
Go ahead.
simulcast. The question was, for a guy like Umberto Rispola on the Del Mar turf, how much do you move them up when you face a guy like a William Buick or a Ryan Moore? Is that what you're asking? Okay. Well,
you could consider it for a little bit, but you're betting horses more than you're betting jockeys for the most part. I mean, how many races did he win on the turf today? Did he win any? No. Well, there you go, and I'm sure he. Yeah, listen, I have the utmost respect for him. He's a great rider, and he rides that turf course great. Hector Berrios the same way. You know what I'm saying? So obviously, if they're on for the first time, you can move the horse up a little bit. But again, the bottom line is basically you're betting the horse. It's more important if a bad guy gets on. You know what I mean? If it's a negative rider.
Yeah, if you like the horse and he's riding it on the grass.
Because when you're in an all-star game, what's the difference who's pitching? They're all all-stars. And that's what basically this is.
Yes. Any more?
Way in the back. What do we think about...
Post time?
Oh, post time, 10:05?
The horse post time?
Oh, the horse post time.
The horse post time.
He's a cool horse. He's got a mind of his own. I mean, he'll bite you, he'll kick you, but he loves his job, and he's trained really well at Del Mar. He's in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, correct? Yeah, he'll be outrun early. He gets the right pace scenario. If you like him in a wide open race, I wouldn't talk you out of him because he's doing really, really well. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anybody else? No one else? Okay.
We didn't ask you, Ralph. Go ahead. Yeah, okay. I didn't hear.
Are you talking about during the running of the race? Correct. Yeah, at Churchill Downs, and John knows this as well as I do, they march through their own drummer there. Yeah, I mean, they are the 800-pound gorilla. Yeah. Yeah. I do want to mention one other thing, and I know these guys can mention it. It's important to know because when a lot of times when we're watching races, we'll see odds, etc., and then when the horse is coming back to the winner's circle, you get a change of odds. I mean, there are times when we thought we got 7-2 on a horse, and it comes back and it pays $6, and there's a reason for that. And you guys can go ahead and explain that.
It happened today in one of the turf races, the sprint race. The 4-horse that won, I don't remember his name. It was a sprint race on the grass. The horse was 19-1 when they were turning for home. The horse paid 12-1. That's 7 points, and that's on Breeders' Cup Day. You know how much money it took to do that?
That's our friends, the batch betters.
Yeah.
And what they are is
Computer-assisted
computer
wagering.
system wagers. There are a number of groups, including the Elite Group, which is owned by, of all things, the racetrack people. The Stronach Group owns this, and they bet through ExpressBet. They have computer algorithms when they see what they perceive value in certain bets.
A sweet spot.
They
yeah.
lay that money in, they hit a button, and it's all in there right before the horses go off. We see it there, and it's a problem. But at this point, I think the tracks have become really dependent on the amount of handle that generates, because these guys bet millions.
Yeah.
But
But
you know,
they're being short-sighted because...
but we're betting based on value, and if I think I'm getting 4-1 and I get 2-1, eventually I'm not going to bet anymore.
Right. Well, you're not going to bet any win bets, that's for
Right,
sure.
right.
Yeah.
You know, you remember our old friend Patrick McQuiggan used
Sure.
to say it's insider trading. That's what he used to call it, insider trading.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's a big advantage for some people, but not for the regular players. So in the long run, while they're making their handle now, they're slowly destroying the game, in my opinion.
I
But
have
the
a
game,
question.
the game will be healthy tomorrow at least.
I have a question for John. In a day like this, I'm a rolling bet player. I love the pick 4s, pick 5s, things like that. When you have this many races with wide open fields, do you shorten up your bets? Do you go betting just in race to race? Do you still do the rolling bets? Does the way you play on a Breeders' Cup day change?
Not really. I mean, you know, obviously you're going to have a lot more race. And it's hard betting these races straight up because when you have 14 horse fields and 12 horse fields and horses coming from all over the world, it's much easier to pick one horse than to pick an exacta or a try because it just becomes that more expensive. I think you're better at playing horizontal wagers as opposed to betting the races individual. If you love a race or a horse, obviously you're going to lean in on that race. But it's really hard to love a horse in a 14-horse field. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's just my opinion.
Yet,
you
and John both loved a horse today in a large field. The horse won.
Yeah.
So?
Yeah, listen, there was an exacta we liked a lot today. That immersive.
Lake Victoria?
John picked that exacta.
Yeah, I liked vodka with a twist at 20-1, and I knew I didn't think she could beat the 3. You got $48 for that exacta.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with taking 24-1.
No.
No, we got 24-1 on that Lake Victoria to Mayday
Right,
ready.
exactly.
Right.
And by the way, folks, they both made these picks earlier on the Race Day Las Vegas show. So we're just giving you a little.
Red boarding.
No, but we're giving them a little idea of how you can utilize a horse that you really like, that you don't like the odds because it's low.
Right.
But you can put them with another horse and you know, inflate the payoff for yourself.
One thing I'm not going to let you get away with, when we did the Saudi Cup seminars and everything on the show, you gave us Senor Buscador.
Yeah.
You haven't made a pick yet tonight.
No, that's true, because
So
I'm going to ride that thing out until
He's
it's...
going to milk that as long as he
I'm
can.
milking that, baby.
Ralph is
I
milking
can't let you be on this winning streak. Do
Senor Buscador
I'm milking that, baby.
you like anybody tomorrow?
You know, I got to tell you that I like a lot of the horses that you guys liked, and for basically the same reasons. But I'll be looking for value tomorrow, and if I see a horse that, you know, that was 6-1, and I say, well, I wouldn't want him at 6-1, but he's going to be 10 or 12-1, I'm going to punch it.
Right. That's what you're supposed to do.
Any other questions out there? That's it?
Do the best players win?
They play with a rebate. They don't care if they break even. You know, if they're earning whatever they're earning for their rebate, they don't mind breaking even. If they're going to earn 6% or 8%, whatever the rebate is,
Yeah.
all they're trying to do is break even.
That's all it is.
So they're betting so many different combinations and different horses. The bad news is it just looks so terrible. It's always the winner that for some reason gets hammered, and it just doesn't look good for the game. That's all.
In any case, like I said, by the way, in case you're interested, you can play tomorrow's races tonight in the book. As long as the book is open with the current races for the nighttime, you can go in there and you can play these races if you want to in the book tonight. But I invite you all to come on back and enjoy yourself here in the big ballroom, and we'll be there as well. And and come up and say hi and all that other stuff. But I want to thank all the folks here at the South Point, certainly John and Jonathan, Steve and all the crew here, and mostly you guys. You make it happen. Thank you so much, and have a
thanks for
great
coming out.
Breeders' Cup Day.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.